places. Okay. And let's try the go live. And
I'm actually a little nasally right now. I've got some allergy issues.
oh, super crazy.
All right.
All right, hey, we're doing stuff.
Hey, I'd never doubted you, Bill.
I feel like you doubted me a little bit.
A little bit.
Can I see? I'm sorry, but at the top of this it says the internet can totally see you now.
No, that is beautiful. We're totally viewable.
Totally seen.
Yeah.
Totally seen.
That's where you want to be.
Well, I would hope so.
I'm just trying to get a connection up here now.
Connection.
Bill, what is this about? We going to talk some sports tonight?
We will. At some point, we will be talking sports.
Good.
I think.
Because there's some stuff to talk about. There's some sports that happen. There's some sports that's going to happen. And there's some sports that may or may not happen depending on how greedy the people are involved.
There's nobody greedy in sports. Come on.
No, and so we probably won't be
Come on.
talking about Jerry Jones tonight, who flew up a little trial balloon that kind of came back down and blew up all over his $300 million yacht.
Did you know his yacht costs more than his sports? I mean, like, that's crazy.
More than what?
Than his new stadium.
Really?
Like, ridiculous.
Well, he's a well-heeled guy. You know, he's from Arkansas.
He makes a little bit of coin.
Yeah, he's done okay in the fossil fuel industry. For a fossil, he's done pretty well in the fossil fuel industry. And I think I could probably speak to the whole fossil thing at this point in my illustrious career. So,
Hold on, I'm trying.
you know, the interesting thing here is that I can't even get to where we're trying to get to here.
I mean, we're on. I can tell you that. I don't see a. What's weird is I don't see a chat thing,
Right.
which may or may not be something of interest.
To anybody. Much less you and me.
No, well, maybe it's down. Maybe it's down.
The chat or us in particularly, or
I don't know. There's one watching. That's what I can see. That's all I can see.
Really?
I don't see a chat thing.
well, it's not me.
Oh, wait a minute. Here we go.
Maybe the lady that's building the
There we go. Hey, look at me doing stuff now.
temporary.
Let me. Oh, there we are. I see us over here too. Oh man, it's just woof, killing it.
All the pretty.
Killing it. Hope this one doesn't have volume. Okay, yeah.
Volume.
I'm in chat. I can send stuff to myself while talking to myself.
That is big time because I'm over here flying blind, which is probably better for everybody.
Although it looks like nickel coverage is in this one, so so it's technically not me. Nickel coverage, you're right on the money. Gotcha.
So are we still floating?
No, we're good.
Really?
We should be good. Are
Right.
you ready to start this bad boy?
I suppose, again, I don't know exactly what I'm doing. I'm trying to pull up YouTube right here.
Yep.
On my phone.
So type in excessive celebration.
No, the problem is it won't even go to YouTube. It's
Oh.
like slow. It's like it's trying to get to.
So you got no tube.
I've got. Yeah, I guess that's close enough.
No tube.
Yeah, nothing. I'm gonna keep work. I'm gonna effort though while we
Okay.
go. It's gonna be so. No, it's not. I was gonna say nobody'd ever notice my struggle, but I'll make a big deal about it and then somehow overcome it and then celebrate my expertise.
Okay.
That's what I'm going with.
Well, see, now the Facebook people knew that electronics and you don't get along. Now the YouTube people know.
Well, that's good. That's good because I don't want anybody to think I'm playing favorites.
That don't play favorites.
I'm not a favorite player. Of anybody at any point in time. But
Except for that kid, except for Charlie Kolar.
Except, oh man. Yeah.
Charlie Kolar.
Charlie Kolar was a cyclone. Yeah. Big fan of Charlie's. Not so much his big brother, who was
No.
a bust. but Charlie's done pretty well. Seems like for some reason, if you're a tight end coming out of Norman, Oklahoma, you got a chance to possibly negotiate for some jack later on down the line. Looks like our friend Mr. Kittles has decided that he's not a tight end and he's going to get paid different money than all of them.
Yeah, eventually that's going to go away. Like the position tight end will be no more, and you're just going to be a big wide receiver.
Hey, what's your position? I'm a BWR.
There you
Oh,
go.
all right then. So you're not in the slot?
How many balls do you catch a year? About 12. I
Yeah.
just block a lot.
Right. But I'm not a tight end.
But I'm not a tight end.
And I'm not a-
Whoa.
Well, I'm not an
Whoa.
H-back. And don't try to pay me that
Whoa.
fullback money.
Whoa. Yeah, where's the fullback nowadays?
I don't know.
Yeah, hawking cars, that's where he is.
That's right.
All right, let's start this thing, Scotty.
I'm ready.
It's time for excessive celebration. 2.
Good evening. Welcome to Excessive Celebration. Same place, different setting. Pretty excited. Bill, I don't want you to jump up and come over here and start patting me on the back. But just so you know, I am watching us as you are watching us.
You know what's weird? If I turn my head the right way, this monitor will watch that monitor watching me. It's
I don't even. No, that's way past me. That's like the.
that's the
wasn't
fourth
there-
wall.
Wasn't there an old magazine, like a Life magazine or something, that with a famous artist, Norman Rockwell or somebody, and he was painting himself. It was like a mirror kind of thing,
That's too in depth.
and it just went further and further back and got smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what life's like.
Where do you start with that? Do you start with the big person, or do you start with the little people and work your way out? Or
Okay,
is it a combination?
there's a thing artists call the point of no return. Also teenagers,
Right.
But we'll stick with artists regarding this part of it, although it's not as interesting as the other. but there's a point where everything just kind of comes together. The focus comes together. So
Right.
to some degree, it's kind of like laying flooring.
Mm.
Or in another way, it's absolutely nothing like laying flooring. Can we talk sports?
Okay.
All right. Welcome
Thank
to
you, sir.
Excessive Celebration. Once again, we're a little, is it fair to say discombobulated? Is that a fair assessment, or am I being mean?
A little different today than normal, I would say. So it's throwing the game off. That may be what it is.
I feel like I'm pitching in a new stadium.
Yeah, we just moved to LA.
That's it.
That's what it was.
right. Yeah. But not to the new LA stadium.
Tell all these watchers, or new watchers probably, what Excessive Celebration is about, and where can they find us, Scott?
Well, Bill, they can find us everywhere. Crossover Radio, Crossover Sports Radio, those are free apps that you can download, listen to us at any point in time. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube at EC Sports Show. You're here now, you know that. You can catch us at Excessive Celebration on Facebook. You can find us on iTunes. A lot of places where podcasts go to lay down and sleep at night, you can find us there.
Would that be the what'd you call it? The horizon line, point of no return.
The point of no
line?
return.
Yeah.
Yes. It's the dissipation point. Or no, we'll stick with that.
I'm going to say, and unlike most shows, us as the hosts want the fans to participate more than anything. We want to hear from you, so feel free, A, to drop that like, and B, to subscribe and comment.
Yeah, and we like the comments most of all because you know, you may even be smarter than us.
It's highly possible.
It is probable that you are, and we appreciate that because we're just kind of steering this big raft, and some people fall off and some people get on. But so far, I'm Gilligan. He's the skipper, and Professor, Marianne, all of them are willing to jump on board. We're looking for all the help, expertise that we can get. But tonight we're going to talk a little bit about WWE. Thought there was an interesting match over the weekend, Bill, I'd like to talk to you about. You know, it's getting to be a habit, these obituaries, but there is one I want to speak to tonight, the death of Wes Unseld, and Billy and I have spoken about him a little bit when we were talking about jersey numbers and where Wes fits in the big picture, but he passed away at the age of 74. I think it's encouraging. We got news about moving the Army-Navy game that was going to be played in Ireland. They've got a new venue for that, so that's an encouraging sign about college football. Oh, that'd be cool. I'd be there. I'd be there pulling for Navy in a big way. Wait a minute. I can't be saying that on the air as a coastie, but I'll be pulling for Navy in a big way. Also, Bill, NASCAR. Looks like Brad Keselowski's like the luckiest guy on the block. The last two races, he won one of them, Bill. And we'll go into it. He won one when there was a caution flag with 2 laps to go, and he was able to sneak in and win it. Last week, he's in 3rd place. 2 guys, Chase Elliott goes into the wall with Logano, and all he has to do is wave his way between them and go one more lap to get the win.
Yeah, so NASCAR is a interesting sport just on the fact that this year, more than any other, you can have the most random driver win because it's going to be a lot of back-to-back races. It's going to be a lot of, pushing it to the metal.
Yeah. Who's the hot car? Who's the hot driver for a few days?
You may not have the same ability to tune up your car as you would in a normal year. It's going to be different this year.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. And my guy Clint Boyer in the 14 car finished 2nd, so I was thrilled with that. So we had a lot to talk about. Major League Baseball, that's actually getting a little more fun, Bill. You had the owners come out with what they want to do. The players have come back with their idea. Owners have returned fire once again, and it's really funny. We'll talk about why the number of games matters. And, Bill, when we talk NBA, let's talk about what your friend brought up a couple of weeks ago. Would there be games or would there be playoff games? My opinion has switched now, and the reason it has switched had nothing to do, certainly, with you trying to convince me otherwise. But, Bill, they need to play, most franchises have to play between 8 to 10 more regular season games, the ones that are going to go, of the 22 that it looks like. Do you know why they need to play between 8 and 10 more games?
Why is that?
Because most teams are 9 games away from fulfilling their obligation for their local television contract. It has to reach 9. There's a certain number of games they've got to play before they get paid for the local TV contract. So that's why you're seeing this push for 8 to 10 games.
Yeah, I mean, you got to try to find a way to recoup some of the money.
Sure, I don't know, but that's the underlying fact. And when we talk baseball, the number of games matters. Do you know why there?
Based on how many they play.
Because they've already agreed to what the prorated price per game is going to be. Yeah. So now it's, well, let's play 162. Well, let's play 50. Well, let's play 114. Well, let's play 50.
I wonder if you polled all the baseball players and honestly, the majority of them would want to be paid, their full salary.
Well, sure, I would.
But how many of them would say, let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and play. Let's figure this out now and play. Or how many would say, no, we're going to hold this out and wait till next year or whatever. And not for safety reasons, right, which would be the main concern, but based on because, we're not getting paid our full salary. Bill,
there's been something... I even talked to Carol about this because I wanted somebody just to see if I was nuts, and normally she would just sign off on that. But I wanted to ask you about this because I've not heard anybody talk about this, Bill. What do we got? We got 10 minutes, 5 minutes? How much time we got here on the front?
We got all day.
Okay. Here's my question, and I would anybody listening, especially if there's somebody out there that is in information, a chief information officer, public relations, help me here because I've only been in that industry for about 38 years, so I could use some help in this regard. Bill, if let's zoom back to when the owners of Major League Baseball made their first pitch about, didn't mean to, pitch. I've just diminished the whole argument. But when they made their first volley and said, here's what we want to do, right?
Right.
We had a pitcher for Toronto make some comments.
No. Tampa Bay.
I'm sorry, for Tampa Bay. Who was it?
Blake Snell.
Blake Snell, that were incendiary in terms of when it was made during the midst of the COVID bell curve at the top, and said some things that basically emboldened ownership then, knowing that this guy had created a terrible public relations
He created
position.
a dividing line.
Yes. So the owners came back and doubled down, basically, because they knew that they probably had the public consent, right?
Right.
Okay. So let's set that aside for a second. Who are the most powerful agents in sports? Wouldn't most likely they're going to be agents of baseball players, simply because the baseball's collective bargaining and their players union is the strongest of all of the major league sports in terms of their leverage, what they get, been able to put a salary cap off the table. It's never happened, right?
Right.
So you have these Scott Borases of the world, right? How would, if you're a manager, how would you ever allow Snell, Harper, any of those guys to screw themselves the way they did? Why would you ever do that? Because to me, the agent should be the bad guy. We shouldn't hear a baseball player say what Snell said. His agent can say that, and we can assume that his agent's playing hardball.
Right.
And we're still thinking, hey, that's our guy. Can't wait to go see what the Devil Rays do when he's on the mound. Rather than screw that guy, screw all of those guys. How does somebody like Boras or these high-powered agents that are managing ball players that are getting paid better than anyone else with a union that helps them to bargain collectively better than anyone else, how do they allow these players to basically pee in their own punch bowl and create this issue that we have?
So what I would say would be, think about the players who came out. So you got Blake Snell and you got Bryce Harper.
Okay.
Two younger players. You didn't see any of the veterans come out, right? So now in the days of the Twitters, the Facebooks, the YouTubes, whatever, Instagrams, the freedom to say whatever and whenever on so many different platforms and reach so many different people is out there. And the freedom of the younger generation not caring as much as far as what people think about them.
Or maybe not understanding.
Or not understanding is probably a better way to say it.
You know what it makes me think of? And this is, I don't mean this in a political sense at all. I'm just talking about the facts. Do you remember back probably a dozen years ago, Bill, there was a very popular women's country group called the Dixie Chicks, right? Their lead singer came out one night and said she was embarrassed that they were from the same state as the President of the United States at that time, that was George W. Bush. Their sales, their careers plummeted.
Like Earl. It died.
Earl had to die, and their careers did. And I remember how the vitriol that she had afterwards. I thought this was America. I thought I could say whatever I wanted to say. Nobody stopped you from saying it.
Yeah.
Understand there are consequences, and people may choose to support you or not after that. I think it's going to be a lesson learned. But don't you think these agents should have been out in front on that, Bill? I just can't imagine that.
It'd be...
Wasn't Snell talking he was being interviewed? I think he was on some sort of podcast.
Do you think the way he said it, maybe he meant it to say a different way and it came off wrong?
No, I heard it. I heard
maybe he didn't fully think about what he was going to say before he just popped
that's
off.
Possible, but he sounded like he was speaking with conviction.
The other aspect of that, though, too, is whoever his agent is probably got multiple clients, and
sure,
it's going to be hard to contain whomever.
Yeah, but you got to get them on email blast, man.
But
hey,
that could be the other thing too. So what if when he makes those comments, not just Bryce Harper comes off with him, but 40 other guys in the league agree with him and join? I mean, I'm sure there's other guys that agree with him.
oh,
but
I'm sure there are too.
what if they make it vocal at that point? Then it doesn't look like, okay, now we got kind of a movement started right there that
But you notice it didn't.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. So that tells me that it probably shouldn't have in the first place,
Yeah.
since all those people didn't pile on, which makes me go back to, if you're that great of an agent with this types, how do you let that happen? It was just a question. I don't know that there's an answer.
man, think about so.
Man.
Let's go back even farther. Red Sox get rid of Mookie Betts.
Is there some, do we always have to do this?
I'm just saying. Think about how lucky they are. You go through the Astros cheating scandal, and then we all think the hammer and the world is going to drop down on the Red Sox.
Until we find out that they're pure as the driven snow.
and they punish themselves harder than anything that ever happened to them.
Because that's character, Bill.
And then you get COVID and Blake Snell being a fool.
You're not buying anything I'm selling, man.
Like, think about that. How lucky are they? They escaped all of this. I guarantee it gets brought up like maybe in one game next year, but after that, nothing.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I got some. Well, that's not going to matter, but you'll feel better later on, because I got a story about a baseball player that's going to make you feel better, but it has nothing to do with the Red Sox, who again are pure as the driven snow.
The only thing that has happened worse to the Red Sox is they keep showing the Buckner game on ESPN.
Well, but the other night they showed the Yankees game with
Yeah.
the game 6.
I believe so.
Yeah, at Yankee Stadium. You know, Yankee fans, do you remember that? Do you remember how that turned out, that ninth inning, when your guy gave up the... Yeah, it's too bad.
Oh, they remember it. Trust me.
Yeah.
They're just now trying to Google your location.
You know what they're doing, though? They're trying to move all of those trophies out of the way to see the TV, to watch the replay of the one time we were able to overcome it and beat them. Yeah, Bill, this is a lot of fun. I hope those of you listening or watching on YouTube will make a habit of that. And we're looking forward to bringing more of this your way, both through this venue, as Bill and I mentioned, iTunes, through the Crossover app and Crossover Sports app. That's free. There's a lot of good stuff on there. Not as good as us, but there's other stuff on there. And we'd love to have you as a regular listener. And, as Bill said, contributor, because that's what we're about. We want feedback. We want somebody to say, yeah, Bill, he's pretty smart, but man, that Scott, he's clueless. So we look forward to that.
Hey, coming up, did the Little Cubs win this weekend? You'll have to wait and see.
Oh, man.
Teaser. You're listening to Excessive Celebration on Crossover Sports Radio. Reminding you, get that app today. Find us on Facebook, YouTube right now. Right now. You can see all the pretty, and iTunes. I kind of want to retitle that.
Nothing like a cool glass of lemonade. Sitting on that front porch, watching your cousin fall off the swing and bust her head open. That's what a summer day's about, and that's why it's time to sit back and drink a big cold glass of Excessive Celebration. You can find it at your local YouTube. Excessive Celebration is also available on Facebook, and you'll find it in 6-packs on iTunes.
I was going to say Crossover Radio Sports. Definitely 6-pack. 6 days a week.
That's what we're talking
Actually,
about.
maybe 7 now. We might be up to 7.
I don't think Wednesday.
Now, we're on Wednesday, but just
Remi-
earlier or later, depending on how you look at the day.
Remind me when we break to tell you a story about Wednesday and about one of my dear friends who's a musician who performed at very close to where we are right now at a certain place for people that are actually, believe it or not, older than I am.
What?
On a Wednesday, and caught a little flack for some of the music that they played that apparently seemed inappropriate to the
Was the
audience
club
at
going up
time.
on a Wednesday?
It was. I don't even. Let's just move on. My 1st
We've reached
answer.
that. We've reached that line, that
Yeah.
point of no return.
Yeah, that's right. We're or at least diminishing returns at this point. Bill, you had mentioned, and rightfully so, the other day when we were discussing the loss of some sports figures. I think last week Eddie Sutton, primarily we spoke of, and Jerry Sloan, and you had mentioned a young man from
Shad
mixed martial
Gaspar.
arts, and I took in a little bit of WWE this weekend.
Yeah.
And saw the Gilbert Burns fight with Tyron Woodley.
Oh, that's UFC.
Yeah, UFC. That's what I
yeah.
meant. And it was a welterweight fight, unanimous decision. But Bill, that fight wasn't close. Woodley looked like he was lost. I thought they were going to stop that fight in the first round. It ended up going the distance, but that was not what I was expecting, and I don't think that's what most people were expecting from that fight.
Yeah, Woodley was the favorite. Woodley, former champion, very much known for his wrestling abilities, and
The other guy's like, what? Was he a jiu-jitsu or something?
yeah, something Woodley is known for is not having very exciting fights, and Dana White has made it very public about that. He wants to see the big draws, the guys swing and kick and do everything, and not this ground and pound stuff. It kind of contradicts what he's got going on, because the UFC is where you're supposed to find who is the best fighter, whether it be a jiu-jitsu guy, a wrestling guy, a boxing guy, whatever, right? That's what makes the styles different. That's what makes the fight so exciting. Woodley, for a long time, was a very dominant champion. It's just his fights weren't exciting. There's a point you get
kind of
to,
like watching a guy. Is it kind of like watching a boxer that's a step and throw, a jab guy, a guy that just
A little
moves
bit.
to his left
Yeah.
and throws jabs, and as a technician more than anything else?
It's like a Mayweather fight.
Yeah.
Just counterpunch. Okay.
Because he hadn't fought since March of last year, Bill.
Yeah, it's weird. So fighting, realistically, you got 6 months in the UFC of you're training up for one fight, right? And people pull out or people don't pull out, but you got 6 months. After that, you've probably got another 6 months. So you're probably doing 2 fights a year. Sometimes if you're like Cowboy Cerrone, you're fighting 3 to 4 times because he's just crazy, absurd. But most of the time it's two times a year. At some point you're going to hit a peak as a fighter, and knowing when that peak is seems to be very difficult for fighters. So Johnny Hendricks, who I went to high school with, who became a UFC champion,
Oklahoma State Cowboy.
Exactly, hit that kind of early in his career, but then he actually won the belt and then lost it, and then you saw Chris Weidman do the same thing. Weidman ends up winning the belt, beats a guy in Anderson Silva, which nobody thought was beatable, and now you see Silva go into that, right? So now you got all these legends, your Dan Hendersons, that will go into fights for really no reason other than to fight one more time and maybe get that last paycheck.
Yeah.
There's nothing that they have to prove, and with Woodley, I feel like he's hit that, because his What should happen when you lose a fight, or even if you win a fight, is you work on those other aspects of your game. He needs to work on his striking. He needs to work on his footwork, and it just does not seem to translate with all fighters. And for no reason other than it's not going to translate with all fighters. You've been taught this one way your whole life, and for you to come in and just, I don't want to say scrap it, but to change it to a 180, now I got to move my foot this way, it's going to be very tough to comprehend. Now, guys like George St. Pierre,
Right.
who mastered a couple of different styles, it's a different ball game with those guys
Yeah.
because they're so far and away advanced that it's not the same kind of deal.
Yeah, they have options based on what you throw towards them. Whatever
Yeah.
your move, they've got options is what they're doing. When I watch that fight, time after time, Gilbert Burns was able to land 2 punches at a time.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't mean just a tap to set up the right hand or what have you. It was Woodley just didn't look like he had the necessary game plan to stop it. And I believe it's just his sheer will that kept him in the fight, because he wasn't aggressive. He was.
And you look at Woodley, and if technique was the issue as far as him figuring out how to throw, it looks like he should have a ton of power behind everything, right?
Yeah.
It just doesn't ever feel like that. Like, everybody will tell you Conor McGregor has just unbelievable power, and you never expect it. Okay, so he's one of the few guys that you don't expect that from. John Bones Jones, right?
Right.
Early in his career would crush people with knockouts. Now you see him start to go into 4th and 5th rounds until he does something stupid.
Yeah, whacks himself out. I don't know.
Right.
Is he stupid or within the octagon, or is he
He
stupider
may be
outside?
Outside of it by far. He may be the smartest fighter I've ever seen in my life as far as technique, as far as introducing new ideas. It's just you get him outside of a ring and he goes into a child mode for whatever reason. I mean, he's doing stuff 18-year-olds do. I mean, it's...
Well, he better be careful if he's doing stuff 18-year-olds do anywhere around J.R. Smith's truck.
You saw that? Oh, man. I get it.
Oh, it was beautiful.
I get
I've changed my mind about him, and he had a T-shirt on.
I guess we figured out where he stopped running.
Yeah, so I thought that was a noteworthy fight, Bill.
Do you think, to me, I feel like UFC has lost some people because of the wave that they had going in. All those fighters that were just more well-known and I would say better well-rounded in the game. And they've all retired or moved on kind of to some degree. That there's no, to me, there's no super spark of new guys that are coming in to really light the scene back up to gain these. But with COVID happening and no other sports going on, and essentially you've got WWE and you got UFC.
Okay.
And unless you want to watch, overseas baseball, which comes on at a very different time zone than anything that you're going to see as far as UFC or WWE, that the market to try and get all of these fans back or get more attention, I mean, you would think that you would put out your best fighters. And I know, McGregor's coming up at some point, but some of the cards lately and the appeal is not there, at least for me.
Do you think they're taking advantage of the fans' want to watch something, and so it doesn't matter if it's two guys that are journeymen as opposed to a super? I mean, do you think that's the logic behind it?
And it's not a horrible idea, right? So you're going to try.
And I'm not saying it is. I'm just asking if it's possible.
I mean, you've
that's
essentially cornered the market outside of two other programs that hardly nobody watches.
The Kaiwoom Heroes are here to stay, and we'll talk about KBO a little later.
I mean, at this point, you're basically putting on any two people that walk into the event and go, "Hey, you're going to fight tonight." I get it, but draw some attention. It's still gonna be a box office thing if you Woodley's a decent enough name, but it's not. I don't need to see a Woodley fight. I need to see something a little bit more entertaining than a Woodley fight.
Do you? Do you see any parallels? Because one of the things that happened to boxing, Bill, was that you ended up having multiple governing bodies of the sport. There was no single governing entity. There was no controlling legal authority, as President Gore said when they did some things illegal within the White House with some Chinese monks one time. No controlling legal authority, man, bear, pig. So anyway, I don't know,
I think UFC suffers from the same thing baseball suffers from.
But is there a chance that what happened with boxing was that you ended up, and they called it alphabet soup, because you had the World Boxing Association,
Right.
you had the World Boxing Council, so you ended up like 3 heavyweight belts out there, which meant, frankly, if you have 3, you don't have any. You don't have a champion. So you know what I mean? Because everybody had their own champion. Could that happen here?
I don't think so.
Good.
I think UFC has the gambit on everything. I mean, there's Bellator, but most of Bellator's fighters are older fighters or guys that are just coming that UFC could buy out at some point if they really wanted to. As far as anything overseas, there are some better guys overseas that could come across, but again, UFC's got the money to buy them out. I think the problem that comes from the UFC is the same thing with baseball, is identifying stars and stars that have personalities to carry on the torch. So yeah, maybe he wants to be in the UFC.
Maybe somebody needs to whip his butt. You think COVID's going to scare you, buddy?
Yeah, it's guys like, so Jones has the personality to carry the UFC just based on style alone.
He's not a big favorite of the upper management there, from what I understand.
Cowboy Cerrone could carry it, but he can't string enough fights along or enough wins along to perpetuate him being the face of it. Conor McGregor being out for whatever incident could carry it too, but he seems to phase in and out of the UFC so much, so it's hard for him to be the face. And all these other guys that are coming up aren't either well-known enough, aren't good enough, or just frankly don't have the personality or the persona to know what to do with it when they do have it. Guys that hold belts need to be, more like Tyson Fury and less quiet about holding the belt. Like, I know it makes you a target, but you're going to be a target regardless.
You're going to get back in the ring. Somebody's not going to not swing at you
Yeah.
because you've been less boisterous.
Like, you get, I would say if you could put either Wilder or Fury's personality, the UFC would take off even more so than what it is.
Yeah.
It's just, you need more guys like that. And I think some of the like Ultimate Fighter shows help them, but not so much because it gives you that behind the scenes look to all that. But most of these fighters you don't hear a peep from, and then you got to sit through a serious interview segment, and that's all you really get to know or see from them. You don't, I mean, even if Steven Adams a personality came into the thing, it would be so much better than what you see now.
I know more about the Modelo people on the commercials than I do. You know what I mean? I mean, there's at least some background. It's like if you're going to watch a movie, it's good to have some character development so you can care when somebody shows up with their head in a box.
It's
Seven.
It's an interest. The other thing that I think would just make the sport.
I'm sorry,
even
it was
better.
Gwyneth Paltrow's head in the box. I really don't care.
Oh,
So, go
spoiler!
ahead.
I was gonna say is the evolution of the sport. So we see fighters nowadays have 1 or 2 backgrounds in something, but just really pushing the envelope of what they can do. I thought we were going to get that when Pettis kind of first broke in with the UFC. You were seeing some kicks off the thing, and there are fighters that will do it occasionally. But I think the evolution of it, I think we've gotten all over the pugilism of somebody just getting beat up all the time. It's most fans aren't there for the technique, right? But
That's
if
fair.
you windmill kick somebody, that's going to make everybody in that seat stand up, right?
Right.
So some version of an evolution. As much as we want to compare it, or they don't want to compare it to boxing, it is very similar to boxing because we would much rather see somebody get knocked out from a head kick or a punch than we would see somebody go to the ground and get tapped out by an arm bar.
Oh, well, it's the difference in watching, as we mentioned before, a Mayweather fight or going back in my day and watching Hearns and Hagler get at it for 5 rounds until neither one of them could stand up anymore. That's what people want to see.
I would think so. Yeah.
I
I'm a real technician on submissions.
I want to see that 600-mile race run perfectly with nobody trading paint, nobody cursing at each other, just a good clean race.
This is the fight. I want Overeem and I want Lesnar. I don't want them to throw punches, but you get one to tap out. Oh, that's my
right.
zone.
That's
my
right.
zone.
No hitting up here, no hitting down here, just like Jerry and George. Yeah.
I find the UFC interesting just based on.
I just
obviously
forgot
style.
I was
It's
on
just
video.
hard, right?
I was
Right?
just doing
we
this
all
on
saw
video,
it.
wasn't I?
Hey, it'll stay on there forever. Grandkids, look what Grandpa did.
Your granddad loves you.
I don't know him.
Yeah, the sad thing is that he does, and he still hangs out with me. So that's on him. That's a character flaw you have to deal with.
I've reached the
Yeah,
point of no return.
Bill, my family didn't have a choice in the matter. Now my wife does, and she still continued to dig that hole in the backyard. But probably not a good time to go to what I was going to go to. But
Do it.
no, we're going to move down one
Okay.
spot. Let's talk Notre Dame Navy, Bill.
All right.
I mentioned this earlier. College football news. Good news, I think. They've moved that game from Dublin, Ireland, which they weren't. No way they were going to go over there and play that game, right? Not under these circumstances. But the game will be played in Annapolis at the baseball stadium or the football stadium in Annapolis on Labor Day weekend. They haven't quite nailed down that time yet. And Bill, one other thing, there was a lot of noise last week where people were concerned because the NCAA moved back 2 weeks with the networks, the opening 2 weeks of the football season, college football season, in terms of what networks were going to cover what games at what time. Okay?
Right.
They're waiting 2 weeks before they announce that. When that came out, the reaction by a whole bunch of people was, well, there you go. The college football season could be suspended a couple of weeks. This is the first volley. They're getting us set up. For the record, I find this hard to believe that national people who, as Billy mentioned earlier, must listen to us at some point, haven't captured the fact that the reason that the networks haven't nailed down those first 2 weekends is because they don't know, especially ESPN, if they're going to be broadcasting NBA games at that time. Their first priority is with the NBA. Fox's is with baseball. They don't know yet what's happening on those two fronts. So until there's some knowledge of when that is all going to start, they can't commit to the college football schedule yet. So people need to sit back and relax. The fact that they're waiting is actually a good thing because they're, with an ESPN and NBC and some of these Fox, you've got multiple platforms, so they'll figure it all out. But the fact that they're waiting 2 weeks doesn't mean that the season's in
No,
danger.
we want football now.
Yeah, nobody wants any of that.
Stop waiting.
And
Let's go.
Bill, how much time we got?
About 5 minutes.
Okay. I think that it would be really silly for us to do the whole show without just mentioning the fact that beyond this COVID virus, the last 72 hours have been tough on everyone. Certainly have sympathy for all that have been moved by what I think was a tragic crime in Minneapolis. And Bill, all I want to just say is that I think our hearts are probably with anybody that feels threatened or minimized by the events that have taken place. And we just would love for sports to come back, because I don't know of any place where you see more people of different backgrounds, races, creeds, religions, colors, finding common ground. Hey, you pick on one of us, you're picking on all of us mentality, and we need that now worse than ever. So from our standpoint, we can lament society's problems. We're probably not capable of solving them, but how about we try to get happy and find happiness and togetherness with sports where we can.
When's the last time you talk to somebody and you go, hey, I hate that guy or I dislike that guy or whatever, right? And then maybe you overhear him, man, I'm a big Vikings fan or I'm a big Raiders fan or whatever team it may be, and you're like,
Hey.
me too. And you know what? That guy Ted is a solid dude. Yeah, he ate my cupcake, but he likes the Raiders.
That's right.
I mean,
That's
come
right.
on.
And that's probably why he likes the Raiders, because he's a cupcake stealer. No, but it's true, Bill, and I appreciate you letting me have the time to do that. Last thing, Wes Unseld passed away, pneumonia and other related issues, had been quite ill. He was 74 years old, Bill. He's a Louisville Cardinal, played for Baltimore, the Baltimore Bullets at the time, and the Washington Bullets. 1969, Bill, he accomplished something that only Wilt Chamberlain has done, and that is be the MVP your rookie year in the league.
Wow.
That's pretty impressive.
That's pretty special company.
Yeah. In 1978, he was the finals MVP when the Bullets defeated Seattle. I think this stat, Bill, sums him up about as good as any. He was 6'7", 245, played center with his back to the basket. He ended his career, Bill, with 13,769 rebounds. That's the most by any player that is 6'8" or less in the league. And he was doing it up against some pretty good ball players. He was doing it up against Wilt Chamberlain. He was doing it up against give me Willis Reed, Russell for a while, Cowens for a while, whatever the Philadelphia was throwing at the time, and it ended up becoming Moses Malone later on. So this guy played a lot of years and was well thought of, well liked, and I just remember he was a warrior. He was a guy that I remember my dad liked him because he was like he'd be like 5 inches shorter than Chamberlain and would just, get up in his grill. So rest in peace, Wes Unseld. And then finally, Bill, we had already talked about NASCAR, and I know we got to go to a break, but I just want to I went from having a bad hand to a full house real quick. That is how Brad Keselowski characterized his win at Bristol, his second in 7 days. As I said, though, that 14 car finished second, Clint Boyer. But Logano was upset. He said, I need an apology. He's got to apologize. He was talking about Chase Elliott. Elliott's answer, typical Awesome Bill from Dawsonville's son. Oh, I just going for the win. I'll take the blame. I just got a little loose and got up into him at 200 miles per hour.
Sure.
We're trading paint again. That's what this is all about. I never thought I'd be that into it, but when there's nothing else, you got to pull that 14 car.
How many races before all this happened have you watched?
Oh, I used to watch quite a bit of NASCAR.
Quite a bit?
Yeah. I got a brother-in-law that has traveled all over, goes to all of them. I actually started out as a big NASCAR fan, going all the way back, Bill, to a guy named Cale Yarborough.
Yeah.
That's how, and Cale would throw down after a race. He was not a great friends with people like Dale Earnhardt or what were the brothers that were back then? The
Waltrip brothers.
Daryl and
Daryl and Michael.
Yeah, they didn't get along real well. So,
if I was racing, I would find it very, very tough to. They seem like good dudes, but the Waltrip brothers would have. It would have been real tough for me until I found out that they're Vikings fans, and then besties.
Yeah, that's the way I am. Yeah, that Benito Mussolini's a Raiders fan. Did you know that? Oh, well, they should unhang him then. Yeah. Well, this is a lot of fun. We're YouTubing. We're like, normally we end up here.
Yeah, most times, yeah.
We just kind of end up over here, but to feel like we're being birthed right here on live YouTube. I don't know. Is my
being birthed? Is that what you said?
Is my umbilical cord? Yeah, there it is.
No, still holding on.
Yeah, it's just the umbilical cord, Mr. Williams.
And keep waiting. We find out about the Little Cubs next, only on Crossover Sports Radio, Excessive Celebration. And we're back!
Yee.
Excessive Celebration, Crossover Sports Radio. Find us on Facebook, YouTube, and iTunes. All the pretty coming at you. I know it's tough to look at. Too much pretty.
Look
Hard to
away.
handle.
Yeah.
Hard to handle.
Come on, baby, and light your candle because I'm on my sure hard to handle. Like, I don't remember all the words anymore. Something about, come
I
on,
don't
baby,
think-
gonna light your candle, but I'm a show hard to handle
I
now.
don't think anybody knew all of them.
Yeah. Well. I think I know who knows all the words.
Who's that?
The little Cubs.
Little Cubs. Last night, in a big game, demolish. I already forgot the team's name.
Probably better.
Demolish them.
The other team.
They came to play. The A game was out. You know what I found out? So I found out what this team is. This team is not a practice team. It's a bunch of horseplay and shenanigans. But you get them on the field during game time. The Little Cubs. Demolishing.
You know, you remind me of right there.
What's
Little
that?
horseplay. That's shenanigans.
Yep.
The Mr. Bookman, the character on Seinfeld that was like the library guy that would show up if you didn't turn a book back in. He was like the library police or whatever. So you sounded a little authoritative and a little judgmental there, Bill. Go ahead.
And say some. I'd give some shout outs, but I can't remember every single hit. I just know that one Maddox Bell, one single away from the cycle. One single. But an overall great team effort. I mean, you're talking about 3 quick outs in 2 straight innings, which is unseen before. Unseen.
Yeah, it's almost like that other team was just putting that ball up there on a tee for your guys.
I know.
That's unbelievable.
They are now 3-1, Scotty.
That's
3-1.
big time. That's big time. Bill, if we want to talk about putting a ball on a tee, we're going to talk about Jose Fernandez of the Doosan Bears. He's batting .465, Bill.
It's pretty solid.
99 at-bats. He got 46 hits. 9 doubles. Doesn't have any triples, but he's got 5 dingers. But guess what? There's 2 other guys in the league batting over 400 as well. Joe Young Ho at 429 and Mel Rojas Jr. at 408. And Bill, remember last week I told you about Kuchang Mo, the pitcher for NC Dinos?
Right.
All right, well, he was like .47 after 4 games. He sucks now.
Oh, he got touched up.
His ERA after 5 games is 0.51.
Oh man, what happened?
He's 35 innings pitched. He's 5-0. He's given up 12 hits, 9 singles, and 3 doubles.
That's absurd. Like, I know the level of competition is not the same, but somebody signed this dude.
He is 5-0. His team, the NC Dinos, yes, Carol, 18-6, right?
You know what's going to happen? Seattle's going to get this guy, developing him into a great pitcher. Then the Yankees or the Red Sox are going to come when he's at his best. And,
Well, we got some money to spend now.
well, yeah.
Yeah, it just worked out. It works out. You know, that's nice to see that good people end up having good things happen to them, like the Red Sox.
I would really want to find out from either former players or, well, former players would probably, or even former coaches, what the discrepancy is from Major League Baseball to that league. How big is the jump really? Obviously, we get some players occasionally,
Yeah.
but
Well,
not
how
a
does this
ton.
league compare, for like example, to the Japanese league?
Right.
That would
right.
be a good starting point because I think there's at least data that would suggest some parallels between the Japanese league and this one. I don't know, as you said, how big of a disparity may exist there, or if there is. I don't know. All I know is this guy can sling it.
Yeah.
And What team was yours? I don't remember now.
I think we were second to last.
You like Samsung
Yeah, we're
or something?
Samsung.
Well, you say, oh, you guys moved up.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you're in 7th place now.
making that run.
You're 11-14 because you've played one more game than the KT Wiz.
Well, you play every team 4 times or 5 times or whatever, 6 times.
I don't know.
That's-
All I know is the Wiz are 10-14, but the Wyverns, those little winged dragons.
Is that like Spyro? Do you remember that video game? When
Oh
it came out?
yeah.
Is that a wyvern?
Maybe.
I feel like that should be the
Yeah.
mascot.
You know what would be cool? I think they ought to have the joust birds as a mascot. You know what I'm talking? The big flying ostriches from Joust. Do you remember the Joust game?
yeah.
Oh, that'd rock. But Hanwha's in last place now.
Oh.
SK Wyverns moved up. So that's your KBO report. Enjoy it because next we're talking college football because it's time for Scotty's assignment.
Oh,
All name team. I know how much you love this, Bill.
I do.
I'm keeping all of these so we can put together the All-American all-name team.
All right. I already know Boosie's in there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, we're going Sun Belt this time. And I had 2.5 pages. I had to get it trimmed down to just the best of the best.
I have a feeling none of the Big 12 would make it in the All-American name team.
You know, well, we'll see. By the way, some breaking news. What seemed like a good thing when Eamon Ogbongbemiga and Creed Humphreys from OU, so you had an all Big 12 linebacker from Oklahoma State and all world center from OU together in Tulsa at a protest. Sounds great, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Eamon Ogbongbemiga now has COVID.
Ooh.
So there you go. Be careful where you go and what happens. So that broke, I think, either today or last night. So hopefully he'll be fine. He'll go through his quarantine. He's somebody the Cowboys need to continue on whatever momentum they have. But it's time for the all-name Sunbelt team, Bill. I know you're going to love this.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to start with Appalachian State, who may be the sleeper team. You know, they're in most everybody's top 25.
I feel like they are every year.
Man. Have you heard of them before? You're a Michigan fan. Are you familiar with them? Because I'm familiar with Central Michigan. Are you familiar with App State?
Never heard of it.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of Central Michigan either. All right. It doesn't get... When you're starting down this road, Bill, and you're going to pick a conference and you're going to do names, and you do it alphabetically, right?
Right.
So you start with App State. The very first name on the roster, Bear Hunter. Baer Hunter.
Tell me he's a linebacker.
He's
or a defensive
he's an offensive lineman.
end.
Bear Hunter.
I deduct points then.
All right. Next name on this, and this is App State. Hansy Palant. How great is that, Hansy? You got Jace Frisbee.
Yeah.
Is that awesome?
That's pretty solid.
And then their punter, Xavier Subach. Is that the dude that danced with Carmen Miranda back in like the 50s or whatever on the stage? And she wore the big hat with the bananas and mangoes and like fried pies on her head and everything. I'm not sure.
Red Panda now? Every Thunder half game show, we got Red Panda.
Yeah,
Like,
that
okay.
is great. Arkansas State had one name. I loved it. Jeff Mario Brown.
Ooh, we found the third Mario Bros.
I don't know if it's twins or but I liked it. Jeff Mario Brown. All right, Coastal Carolina had a couple. JB Favorite. Is that not great? He's a defensive end. And then the safety, Alex Spillum.
Yeah.
I had to try to get a couple on there. Now, Georgia Southern, Jala Zizi Jr. That's big. Jallah, Jala Zizi, Zeze Jr. I kind of like that. It sounds like a cat. It sounds like something you could order downstairs at Serve.
He sounds like he would never have a bad day.
How could you? He's breezy. Zizi. That's probably what he named his daughter. Breezy Zizi. And a great name. For me, it's not if it's funny. It's if it makes me feel good.
I would have named her Ketchin.
Oh, I like that. Catching's easy. Sleepy. Sleep easy. All right. Jalazizi's roommate, though, is Monquavian Brinson. And I'm just digging that name. If I'm going to get taken out of a game, if somebody's going to lay me out and I'm cold and I'm having pizza at 1:30 wondering whether we won or not, and my friends are going, oh, yeah, you were the star. You did great, right? Well, first of all, I'm only speaking from some experience of being knocked out in a game. But I want it to be by a guy named Monquavian Brinson. Well, who knocked you out of the game, dude? Well, it was Monquavian Brinson. Oh, man.
Till you find out he's like 5'3", 140.
He's the holder.
Right.
Yeah. All right, Georgia State. Desperado Alexander.
Oh, that's awesome.
Come on, Mom. Why don't you come to your senses?
Lotto.
That's what I'm saying. That's a great one. Roommate Ty Ance Dewberry. That is great. Now, Louisiana, I had fun with this one because I knew I was going to find some good Cajun names, some Bobby Boucher kind of stuff, right? King McGowan, offensive lineman. Okay, this is too good to be true. This is defensive back. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Skadarin Archie.
Skadarin. I feel like we've heard that name
Skadarin.
before. Skadarin.
It's awesome. All right, now here is the Cajun law firm of Jacques Boudreau, Tyler Guidry, Jordan Quibideau, Cooper LeBlanc, and Cam Pedesclo. That is big time. Playing the foosball with Bobby Boucher down there. Okay, you got South Alabama, Cephas Johnson, quarterback.
Cephas.
I love that. All I could think of was Hank Jr. So if his Bo Cephas, you like that one?
I'm really trying to figure out. Like they just heard something or saw something. Well, let's just change this letter and we'll call him whatever. Like the names are
They're interesting.
very.
How about Texas State and Jacob Fryrear? He's an offensive lineman. Somebody set a fire under his you-know-what, right? All right. Jay-Sean Waddy. Something about Waddy, because Billy Waddy was a great football player back in the day. But I got to go through these names first, okay? Jacob Fryrear, Jay-Sean Waddy, a linebacker named Hunter Thompson. That's a great name. I bet he don't want to play at UNLV. Some people will get that. Those that won't, look up Hunter Thompson, Las Vegas. You might find a book and a movie similar to those. And then their punter. So you got those names. Their punter, Bill, Seamus O'Kelly.
Seamus.
He's their punter. Troy, quarterback Gavin Screws. Benito Williams. No, but we mentioned Benito earlier, didn't I? So you got Gavin Screws, and then Benito Williams is the wide receiver. The world needs more Benitos. We don't need no more. We don't need the Adolfs from that time period, but Benito's kind of
I think I'm going to change my name just for my other job.
To Benito?
No, to Grabbing Screws. Think about what I do and tell me that wouldn't be the
Gavin.
best.
Oh, that would be good. Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Working for a fastener company?
Yeah.
Or start your own.
Like you would.
What's the best fastener in town? Gavin Screws.
You'd be like, no, this has got to be made up if you did.
Hey, these Gavin Screws. Sir, are they mil-spec'd? These Gavin Screws? Yeah, I like that one. All right, how about Ty Pouncey?
Is that one of the Pouncey brothers?
I don't know if it is or
Or
not.
maybe son?
But it's a great football name, right?
Yeah.
All right, and then Louisiana Monroe, Sir Darius Ellis.
We've had a couple of Sedarius.
I like this is Sir Darius.
Sir. Is it split up? Is it hyphenated?
It is S-I-R capital D-A-R-R-I-U-S, Sir Darius Ellis, right?
At
And
what
then
point in a name, whether it be a last name or a first name or middle name, do you start using other capitals besides what's at the beginning?
I think it's just
You
it's
just
all
throw it
up in the air.
Like,
I think that's what's great about it.
I want a hard D right here, like, or I want a hard C, or like that's always.
Well, you know,
strange.
years ago, George Carlin said your name could be spelled GZRXP, and you could call yourself Smith and just say all the letters are silent.
Yeah.
So I think he could kind of do anything.
Like
there.
McDowell. Like every McDowell is always capital M, C, capital D.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a burger chain that does something like that.
If
McBurger King.
I take out my last name, right, and I just capitalize all the last letters, do I have to yell the end of it?
BL. And then finally, Bill, to go with Sir Darius Ellis, because this name just kind of rolls off the tongue, is their punter, Louisiana Monroe's punter from Elon, North Carolina, Landon Fogelman.
Why do most of these punters or kickers have these names? Were they bullied and had to be?
I don't know. They all sound like. It reminds me of the Key and Peele thing. Like these are all like long snappers and kickers are all, have names like. What did we say the other day? Like they all hung out with. What golfer did I mention that they? I can't remember now.
Snedeker?
Yeah, Brant Snedeker.
Yeah.
Right in that kind of wheelhouse.
Do you think that any punter or kicker actually hangs out with the team until they make a game-winning?
I don't even think
play?
after that they do.
No.
I'm pretty
Just
sure
in
that
that moment after
Yeah.
that game?
Yeah. You get the seat on the bus in the back unless somebody needs to use it. Yeah, I don't think they get a whole lot of.
Although that kid out of, what was it, UFC looked like he was the team with the full beard.
Oh, yeah.
That guy was great.
Yeah, every once in a while you get some alpha male that's a punter. But I always thought Reggie Roby looked like somebody that could beat you up if you. Those of you that are a little bit younger, Google up Reggie Roby, punter, Miami Dolphins.
Or for kids nowadays, Janikowski.
Yeah, but Roby.
Roby was a big dude.
Yeah, I don't remember any other guy playing in the NFL that was wearing a watch. Look at film of Reggie Roby punting in the NFL with a watch on. I don't know if he was like timing the hang time afterwards or what.
Well, Beckham wore a watch.
But the dude wore a watch.
I don't know why he wore an expensive watch, but okay.
Keep track of where his wife was
I guess.
because she was spicy. I'll tell you, spicy, Bill.
What's that?
NBA proposal. 22 teams. As we talked about earlier, looks like there's going to be 8 to 10 regular season games, which is going to make you and Zach happy.
There needs to be. I mean, I don't think there's a way you just bring back the playoffs and just go, here's what it is, here's what we're doing, playoffs, go. And then the first 2 weeks of it or the first week and a half is going to be just horrible games because these guys are not ready to play.
Yeah, I feel bad for like Orlando though. I mean, they're sitting there at what, 8th on their side, 5.5 games. 5.5 games up on Washington, and they're going to invite the Wizards to give them a chance to.
I thought you were going to say because they lost Shaq.
Just recently.
Yeah.
I hear the Dwight Howard kid's pretty good though.
Think about that too. So, out of all the talent that's come out of Orlando, so what's been great,
Victor Oladipo.
right? If there's been this situation, anything positive to come out of it, we get to finally unlock the vault into ESPN, right? And you get to see all these old classic games, right? You think back about all those Orlando teams when they had like Shaq and Penny, and then you go back to the Dwight Howards, the Oladipos, Evan Fournier, who's been a pretty decent offensive player for years, and just
Certainly.
they feel like he's been the GOAT that has kept him out of the playoffs for years. And then you've got guys
So
like
the greatest of all time keeping somebody out of the
Right,
playoffs.
right.
I got you.
Rashad Lewis. I mean, there's been guys on this team that, and Orlando's just struggled to put a decent team around anybody outside the year that they go get swept in the championship. You had Shaq and Penny near their prime, and you lose them both. Like, I
Bill,
don't know
why don't
what
we-
Orlando's trying to do, and especially over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Like, their draft is so inconsistent. They draft big guys that are like 6'8" and somewhat athletic. The Isaiah kid, or the Isaac kid, looks like he could be a player. Aaron Gordon is nothing but a dunker. Mo Bamba looks like he could just be the next guy to be off the bench all the time.
Yeah.
Like, they need to draft better. And I don't know what they're trying to, and they held on to Jameer Nelson for years.
What do you think? Was Mo Bamba supposed to be Jared Allen 2.0? Was he?
Yeah, in that same mold of DeAndre Jordan is what it felt like. I think when you draft guys that are, they lead the leagues in blocking and lead the league in, 80% field goal rate in like 2 feet, you're not going to get much more than that because nobody's coaching centers like they should be coaching centers anymore. If they have the talent like Bamba does to be in the league, that they should have the talent to learn how to shoot the ball from somewhere.
You gotta love Mo Bamba. In fact, it sounds like a song, doesn't it? You
Yeah.
gotta love Mo Bamba. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just find it. There's going to be a place in the league for a big man always, but the guys that excel are guys like Embiid that can drive that talent out and, maybe it's shoot a 3-point shot. And realistically, Embiid doesn't even need a 3-point shot. If Embiid was intelligent to any degree as far as put your butt to the basket, listen to what Shaq and Barkley say week and day after day about you. Put your butt to the basket. There's going to be nobody in this league.
Yeah,
that's
who's going to
gonna
stop
you.
him? Yeah, there isn't.
Like, there's nobody right now. Tell me, maybe Adams on a good day can hold you to 20,
Rudy Gobert when he's not.
possibly, but the weight differential,
Infected? Yeah.
it's crazy to think that I have this advantage around the league, right? So you can go to.
I don't know. Now, wait, Enes Kanter, I'm sure, could show.
Well, yeah. Well, and Kanter's about the only one who does go, in the paint and try to drive, and it's crazy to have that and to have the field goal percentage be so much higher that no, we're just going to step back all the time. Like, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
No sense.
What do you think of the proposal for 22 teams, Bill, when only 9 are coming from the East? And what do they do with that? Do they play and then seed them 1 through 16? I don't. Whatever they do, people are going to gripe, and we'll find fault with it. But
I think anything's better than nothing. So whatever they propose and whatever they want to come out with, I'm fine with. Unless you're going to remake the whole NBA going into next year or the year after, and you started off with this and you reseed and we figure out a better way to do the NBA, then I'm all about it. But if it's just going to be a one-year deal because of the situation we're in, then all it's going to do is draw interest for this 1 year, and you may not have the same fans after that.
yeah, well, that's the thing.
And which could be a good thing.
I don't know that you'd lose fans, but I think whatever you do sets the tone for what you're going to do after that. And I think if you're going to try to incorporate some things based on what you do now, tell everybody that's what you're going to do.
Honestly, I'm over the conferences, right? So I'm over the Pacific Coast and the whatever,
the divisions.
Let's get rid of that, right? Let's take the map, draw the line. You're on the east side, you're on the west side. This is what it is every year. Let's split the teams evenly or accordingly to whatever demographic or region or whatever, and figure this thing out to where it's a better product. That's the only thing that I feel that holds the NBA back. When it's so lopsided that one star can dominate one side, whether it be LeBron, whether it be Kawhi, whether it be Giannis, then that's an unwatchable NBA on that side. You're not going to draw any market attention from that. And then the West is the only thing that you want to see, but I've got to watch LeBron go up against Orlando. Like, nobody wants to see that.
Yeah, I wouldn't even mind if they had a few less games, and maybe what you did was everybody played everybody like 3 times.
Yeah.
Okay, now that would be what? So that would be a lot. I mean, that would be 29 times 3. So you're talking about 87 games.
Yeah,
so
which would be fine.
But yeah, you play what, 82 now?
Something like that.
Yeah. So, Because if you draw that line and the Western teams are playing each other more than the East, then you're still going to have a disparity. I think it's still going to be the same thing. You've just done away with the divisions, but the conference is still there. I'm all for just saying we're going to play everybody 3 times, and then the 16 best schedules coming out of that. That way, you can't say, well, your schedule was so much easier than mine because you were in Atlanta. You played
Right.
Atlanta 4 times and we only got to play them 2 times or whatever it might be.
Yeah, how is any of this fair for teams that play like the Pistons and just whoop the Pistons 4 times a year?
Whoop that piston!
I mean, there are teams in the league that there's no way you can fear them. I mean, there's no way. And when all it takes is one big name player to change the landscape of a team, but you probably only get that guy once every 4 years or 5 years for a short run. I mean, it makes no sense.
I agree.
And if it's not one big name, then let's change up the who's addressing how we draft, right? I watched the Phoenix Suns mess up every single draft for about 10 years. Like, how did we not get Trae Young? How did we not
Sure.
get Luka Doncic? Why are we stuck with the Aton?
Can we zip back for a minute? Because I was going to ask you a question, and we kind of moved forward. We were talking about Orlando, and you're talking about the futility there, right, Bill?
Right.
And I don't think anybody can even question that, right?
Right.
My question to you is, normally when you have a franchise that is that poor for that long, you can point to either ownership, a general manager, systemic issues within the entire organization, but yet I've never really heard anybody throw shade or cast doubt or aspersion specifically on Orlando. Is it because it's a small market, we're in one too, and we just don't hear that? It's because there's not a lot of, the local media here is pretty sweet on the Thunder. Nobody's real. So is it because nobody cares? I mean, help me with why they're futile and why nobody seems to beat up on the front office after years of being futile.
I mean, honestly, you could do it with a lot of teams. It's not. We just picked out Orlando because that's where the site.
Yeah,
was,
but it is true that I couldn't tell you anything about their upper management or any of that.
I mean, obviously, a lot has to go into who you're drafting and will they pan out. And to me, in situations where they draft most of the time in a top 10 situation, maybe they don't get the luck of the draw of getting the top 5, which is fine.
Yeah, but come on, right?
But you've got to address talent. The years that they go by and draft power forward after power forward after power forward, and hey, let's get a center. You just got 7 power forwards.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Hey, which one of you guys would get the ball up the floor? None of us.
And then you see guys like Elfrid Payton come in, and who has a ton of talent, right? He come in with a horrible hairdo, but then comes off and can play a little bit. Now, is he a star in the league? No, but he could be a nice serviceable backup. I mean, this guy can drop 40 if he had to.
Does he go to Shumpert's?
If you've never seen Elfrid when he played in Orlando, just go Google that up because it is horrible. We'll just put it that way. But then you rely on an aging veteran in Fournier who is good, but be realistic. When you got a LeBron, a Kawhi, and maybe you can't compete for these guys, you got to get a team and a bunch of 6'8" guys who can't dribble a ball around. I mean, it does not help your team. And whomever the coach is and whomever the GM is going to be or whoever the owner is going to be, you've got to have a path, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for you to sit there and go, hey, this guy's going to be great, there's no way you can tell coming out of college. Like, we can think one thing, Sleepy Floyd's going to be the best, right? And then he drops off, right? You just don't know, and there's no way to project that. Now, there are some talents out there that you may never be able to get your hands on, like your Zion, who you know is going to be really good. Those are going to come, and your Durant's, we knew it was going to come. Can you hold on to forever? No, probably not. But you've got to build a better team. Do what the Toronto Raptors did. Before they even got Kawhi, they were
Right.
competing at least. Right now, you're competing for 8th or 9th for the past decade.
Yeah.
And for the fans of Orlando, I feel sorrier for that team than teams that tank consistently like the Sixers
because
did.
at least that's their plan,
Yeah.
right?
It
Well,
just makes
and
no sense.
And Bill, I think it's safe to say that an argument can be made that you can be relevant and be a small market team, because there's one right here that found a way to stay relevant through some really difficult losses in terms of personnel. So it can be done. Yeah, my point wasn't that I was, questioning the futility of Orlando, but let's look at it this way: the futility of the Knicks, Dolan. It's not hard to see where there may be some issues there. Futility of somebody like the Washington Redskins, Daniel Snyder.
And
Cleveland without LeBron, yeah, I think we know what that's.
I can't imagine not wanting to play in Orlando as an NBA player. Their stadium to me now feels super outdated. Even before when they, even before when they built it, it was kind of like, it looks very cheesy to some degree.
Oh, is that because the mouse is there? Is that why you went with it?
Honestly, no. It just feels very cartoony. Their whole floor situation, all of it is just, and that's kind of the same way I feel about the Brooklyn Stadium. Like, it's a nice stadium, but the floor is terrible. And now I've got to watch a game, and I've said this before. It looks like it's in black and white, and it looks terrible. I'm sure being at the game, it looks 100% better, but watching it on TV, it is not a great appeal. It looks terrible. I like the black and gray concept, but surely there's a better way to put that together to where it made a little bit more sense. And the gray floor doesn't work, and I don't know. It's just
I'll tell you, Bill, I've never been a Celtics fan. I mean, it's never been in fact, I was the Lakers fan all those years they played the Celtics. I was disappointed when the Boston Garden went away simply because it's been there. It's almost like the Forum. I grew up watching the Lakers play at the fabulous Forum. But, man, the new Garden in Boston is big time, and they're able to save that parquet floor.
cheapskates. You're listening to Excessive Celebration on Crossover Sports Radio. Reminding you to get that app today.
You know how you pay for that floor, don't you? You ship some guy from the Red Sox across the coast.
Apparently. We've been watching it for years.
Yeah.
But never told anybody.
Billy, when we come back, a little old New York Mets vitriol bubbling back up from 1986. Bill, you know how you follow a team, maybe even follow a TV show, and you really get to where you feel like you know the people, the actors, or whatever.
Right.
Then years later, you read, yeah, Fred and Ethel, I mean, they hated each other. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, man, that just kind of destroys the myth, right? It destroys it. Well, I don't think anybody ever thought the 1986 New York Mets, world champion 1986 New York Mets, were anything ever short of dysfunctional. And I think time and history has proven that to be true. Would you not agree with that?
I would agree.
Ron Darling wrote a book called 108 Stitches, Loose Threads, Ripping Yarns, and the Darndest Characters from My Time in the Game, published by St. Martin's Press. Fast forward, a judge has dismissed Lenny Dykstra's defamation and libel lawsuit against Ron Darling. In the book, Darling wrote that Dykstra shouted racial taunts at Boston Red Sox pitcher Dennis Oilcan Boyd from the on-deck circle before Game 3 of the '86 World Series. This is beautiful. Dykstra, 57, was seeking monetary damages, compensatory damages, including, Bill, emotional distress, damages for loss of opportunities, for the severe mental anguish, loss of reputation, and humiliation caused by the defendant's unlawful and malicious conduct, and punitive damages plus court costs. The judge dismissed the defamation lawsuit with this remark: the reputation for unsportsmanlike conduct and bigotry is already so tarnished that it cannot be further injured, New York Supreme Court Judge Robert D. Kalish said of Lenny Dykstra and his lawsuit. Darling had filed motions to dismiss the lawsuit under the libel-proof plaintiff doctrine, and Kalish agreed, citing Dykstra's past legal troubles and claims he made in his own autobiography, House of Nails, a memoir of life on the edge, as reasons to dismiss the suit. Based on the papers submitted on the motion prior to the publication of the book, Dykstra was infamous for being, among other things, racist, misogynist, and anti-gay, as well as a sexual predator, a drug abuser, a thief, and an embezzler. Further, Dykstra had a reputation, largely due to his autobiography, of being willing to do anything to benefit himself and his team, including using steroids and blackmailing umpires. Kalish wrote that the court is a trial court, not an appellate court, and says Dykstra engaged in yet another example of bigoted behavior over 30 years ago. They're not interested in what that means. So they're basically just doing away with all of it. And here's the thing about Dykstra, Bill. He was sentenced to 3 years in a California state prison in 2012 after pleading no contest to grand theft auto and providing a false financial statement. He was sentenced to 6.5 months in prison that same December by another U.S. district judge after pleading guilty to bankruptcy fraud, concealment of assets, and money laundering. The sentences were to be served concurrently. But how would you like for a judge to say, I'm throwing out the libel case against you because your reputation for unsportsmanlike conduct and bigotry is so tarnished that you can't be injured any further?
I feel like if that's the case, Rasheed Wallace will never have a case against anybody.
I'm telling you, man. Lenny Dykstra is about as low as you can go. And I hate to say this today in front of everybody. I was pulling for the Mets in 1986 against the Red Sox. Ray Knight.
So it's interesting now.
Bill Buck.
So we've had like the Jordan documentaries. We've had the Lance Armstrong stuff. I wonder who we're watching now that in like 10 years there's going to be just something random that we're going to be watching going, well, we never knew. Because like at the time of most of this stuff, and especially like Jordan, you heard a little bit, but you didn't hear that much.
What about KD? I mean, he's had kind of an interesting career. I'd like to hear what all the people that have played around him will say about him 10 years from now or 15.
I wonder what kind of teammate he is.
That's
Like,
what I can't wait to hear. That's the first person that popped into my head when you said that.
it feels like to his close friends, which seem to be Kyrie and DeAndre,
That they'll have his back.
that they must love him.
2 of them.
But it also feels like to those guys who maybe weren't so close or aren't so close, it's like, yeah, we're glad he's on our team, but
That's exactly. I knew exactly what you were going to say, Bill. I think he's probably found 1 or 2 anchors in his life that he can say, that's my boy or whatever, this is my guy. But I'm with you. I think he's aloof, and I don't know that he ever really connected. He didn't connect with the guys in
I
Oakland.
wonder what that is, because it's
That's why I can't wait for 10 years for this for the story to come out.
For the
'Cause I think
30
it'll-
for 30
Yeah,
Brady.
I think it'll be
Like-
great. Sponsored by Sprinkles
I'm just curious of what that is in him, because
or not.
do you if I
What?
say the name Kevin Durant, does he give you that alpha mentality? Do you-
No.
So
No.
you think he's better being second fiddle? and-
Bill, when you say Kevin Durant, I see 2 guys standing there.
Yeah.
I see one guy that's a very adept, efficient, prolific basketball scorer. On the other side, I see a guy that I don't know that can make it through the day unless somebody's telling him how great he is. Because I think he's a little soft when it comes to taking criticism and owning his decisions that he makes in his career and in his life.
Would you say that if he does not make the decision to join the Warriors, right? Let's say he goes somewhere else, because there was probably no way he's staying in Oklahoma City.
Doesn't sound like it.
Do you think that we look at him as that guy, like we look at him, like we look at Carmelo, as far as a prolific scorer, has all the talent in the world,
Yeah, I'd say that's fair.
but not the alpha dog, can't be that guy? I think Carmelo, though, I always looked at Carmelo, even when Allen was on his team, he always felt like Carmelo was the guy.
Yeah, but I don't think he cared. In
I don't
other
think he
words,
did
I
either.
think he just ended up being the guy
Yeah.
because that's who he was.
Yeah.
And the question you ask about how we would have felt about Kevin, it can't be answered because he did take the easy
Yeah.
way out. And that's why we feel the way we feel about Kevin. And really, Bill, and I'm trying to be fair, I really am, because we do have, I say we, Oklahoma City Thunder fans don't have a soft spot for Kevin anymore.
Right.
But I just it's difficult for me to not feel like there's something missing with him. And that's why I said it's like 2 guys. One guy that's this basketball player, but that's it. And another guy that hasn't convinced himself yet that he can withstand the criticism and the barbs and everything, because he can't. He doesn't. I mean, who else has burner account? I mean, does what he does and responds
that'd
to
be
everything.
another interesting thing, because I would have bet a bunch of NBA players have burner accounts and we just don't know about it.
Well, maybe so, but they sure don't get called out quite
Yeah.
like he does.
I would be interested to know, because I know he's said this before. He's not trying to go after Jordan or trying to do any of that. Like, he doesn't feel the need in himself to do all that. I wonder, though, when he makes that decision to go to the Warriors, is because you don't want to be Barkley, right? You don't want to be one of the greatest ever to do
Sure.
it and not have the ring, and
Right.
then everybody just, oh, where's your ring? Where's your ring?
Right,
Right?
right.
It's funny to some degree, but that's got to eat away a little bit.
Sure.
So going to the Warriors, yes, it was the easy option. How many of us would have turned down maybe a free trip to go to the NBA Finals, right? It's a tough situation not to be like, yeah, we're good, but You know what?
Well, how'd you like to be Dan Marino sitting around the Hall of Fame
Oh,
house
yeah.
with the other quarterbacks
Oh, yeah.
that are in there?
Listen, Dan, you were far and away better than I ever was, but I got 3 rings and you don't have any.
Get it done. But you were in that the Jim Carrey movie. So
I'm just curious, like, because you know it's not going to come out for like 10 years, and it's going to be something just ridiculous.
But that's the one I want to see, because I would love maybe he fools all of us. But I don't think so. I think it's going to be like you said. I think they'll find 3 people that say he's the greatest thing ever, and 30 that said he was a flake.
I don't think there's any denying his talent. Like,
Of course not. That's that one part of him that stands up there and does what they do.
I don't want to say I've never seen talent like his with his size, because Dirk had a little bit of it, and then you've seen guys come and go that can handle the ball just a little bit too.
I think George Gervin is the closest thing that I
Gervin.
remember to what in the past anyway.
His pure ability to shoot it consistently, maybe one of the best ever. It's
Without a doubt.
There's just something about it. Like, I feel like he, as much as he doesn't want to claim that he wants to win rings and be the face and etc., I feel like because of LeBron and him and LeBron being somewhat tight, that pushes him, and I think it drives him, I don't want to say mad or crazy, but
Where do you think he ranks on ESPN's top 75 basketball players of all time? Because I have that list right here.
where would I put him? Or-
Where do you think ESPN has him? And then I'd like to know where you'd put him.
I would say he's probably in the top 25.
He's in the top 15.
I would put him top 30. I mean, because if you're
I'd find him somewhere between 20 and 30, I would think.
it's
maybe.
so hard not to take him for
Do you want me to tell you who's
the
30th?
the injuries too, though, because you've got to throw that in there. Yeah, I can measure everything on the court, but I'm measuring if I've got to measure the whole entire career. I've got to throw in the injury factor a little bit.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
that's a great question, though, about
there's-
who would we want to see. And
There's a
my
lot of
answer would
people,
also-
though. There's a lot of people you could, that were great at some point. Like Gary Payton is a great example, but he's going to be so undervalued in all of that.
Yeah.
But had a long career.
53.
53. Wow.
Yeah.
Who's
Yeah.
30?
Steve Nash.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
probably about right for Nash.
Yeah. Yeah. 14.
Stephon Marbury.
Kevin Durant, number 14.
Yeah.
Now let me give you the names he's ahead of,
Okay.
and you tell me up or down, or yes or right.
Okay.
15 is Julius Erving.
No, I'd put him above Durant. For now. Give Durant a couple years, I might switch it. but-
Okay, here's one that I know you would keep Durant ahead of, just because
Okay.
you hate this guy, Karl Malone. You can't take the hate out of the guy. You're not going to be able to do it.
As much as I hate Karl Malone, wow, I want to say even. Like, I feel as of right now they should be even.
If you look at what Karl Malone meant to the
Yeah.
Utah Jazz, it would be hard to not.
You know who Malone is? Malone was Tim Duncan before Tim Duncan.
That's a good, yeah, I'd say so. Although I think Duncan probably was a little more athletic.
Yeah, well, Duncan by far got better, and I think Malone always stayed consistent.
Yeah,
Um,
just like his truck.
I
All right,
mean,
let me-
I can understand
So-
Durant above Malone.
Okay, so you got Irving, Malone, Moses Malone is 18,
I'd probably keep Durant above him.
Nowitzki 19,
I'd stick with Durant.
Garnett 20.
Just passion alone, I think if they were to play one-on-one,
I would take
Kevin Garnett
just
would-
because he'd
would-
beat him to death.
he would get into his head, and there's no way.
Or just kick his backside.
Like, because what was horrible, and Kevin Love suffered through this in the Minnesota years too, and now with Cleveland, his talent was so amazing with nobody, and then just to have Steph Marbury there was a little bit of help, but he was unstoppable. And his ability to galvanize guys like Wally Zerbiak and up their game, and Kevin Garnett is going to be one of the most underappreciated guys, and probably one of the most forgettable guys that played in this era. But they called him the big ticket for a reason.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the complete show. He literally did everything for all of those teams,
and played with a passion and a sense of purpose that you just don't see.
That may be what Russ has now, other than that. And I would say Russ has cooled off since going to Houston.
Yeah. I think he's back down a little bit. So Garnett's there. 21 is Scottie Pippen. Do you put Pippen? I mean, to me, Pippen and Durant are similar players.
See, to me, Pippen may be the best all-around basketball player I've ever seen.
Oh, I know what you feel about him.
And I put him above Jordan in that aspect. I'm not saying he's and it's a weird thing to say. I'm not saying he's the greatest basketball player, but all around, I feel like he was the best basketball player I've ever seen, which would make me think that he's the best. I would put Pippen above Durant. I mean, defensive ability alone, Pippen can stop anybody.
All right, let's shift gears here then, since you have Pippen in that high mount, if you will.
Okay.
Let me give you the list here, and you tell me where Pippen fits, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Jordan, LeBron James, Jabbar, Bill Russell, Magic Johnson, Wilt Chamberlain, Larry Bird. Have you slotted him in anywhere yet?
Who's after Bird?
Tim Duncan.
See, I'd put Duncan over Bird.
But would you put Pippen?
I would put Pippen near Bird.
Okay. So you got Duncan, Kobe Bryant.
Wow, really?
Number 9. Shaquille 10. Oscar 11. And that's not De La Renta. That's Robertson. Hakeem Olajuwon 12. I would have Pippen higher than Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yeah, you know what's weird is Hakeem, I think, a lot of people feel like he's undervalued. But when
I get it.
When I watched Hakeem, I wasn't super impressed by everything that he brought.
I think he was the product of a system that he was able to replicate from college with his same point guard.
Right.
I just think he benefited from that in a big. Not to say that the guy wasn't ridiculous and had athleticism and all of that, but how Hakeem Olajuwon is at 12 and Steph Curry's at 13 is beyond me.
Well, because this was this voted by the fans?
This is an ESPN.
Okay, so you're getting the mixture of the old and the new, and there's probably only like 2 old and like 18 new that have even seen half of the guys play.
But that's what I'm saying. But Curry should be higher, I think.
Well, and Curry reasonably should just be higher because of the game change that involved around him. I mean, the total league changed the way it looked at analytics. It looked at 3-point shots. He revolutionized the game into what it is now.
Well, so you've got him, and then you get to Durant, and then we went on up from there. So this could be a fun thing to look at. When I look, James Harden's number 32 on this list. Does that surprise you in some way? That he's below Stockton and Wade and Leonard and Iverson, Isaiah Thomas.
Where's Iverson?
Iverson's number 29.
This is a weird list. Like read off 10 through 20.
10 through 20?
Yeah.
O'Neal, Oscar Robertson, Olajuwon, Curry, Durant, Irving, Karl Malone.
Irving, which Irving?
Julius Irving.
Okay.
Karl Malone, Moses Malone, Dirk Nowitzki, Kevin Garnett, number 20. Pippen.
I wonder what they judged this on.
Elgin Baylor.
Like, it just seems like a weird...
I'll pull it. I'll find it. But you got Damian Lillard's number 72.
Who's one above him and who's one below him?
Mutombo's is 73 and Bob Lanier's 71. Tony Parker's 70.
It's a strange list.
Yeah.
Like, it's a really...
It's like weighted for older. Like, I don't know.
I would say it's weighted for... Well,
Really?
Yeah. I don't... It's just so... So the biggest difference is the athletic ability has changed so much, too. That's why you see more players now or more relevant guys over the last couple of years be on that list.
How do you have Russell Westbrook at 42? Chris Paul's 40. Ewing 37. McHale 36. How do you have McHale ahead of Ewing?
I'd do more inspection on that. It's
It's the ESPN Top 75 is all it is. Voted on by their beat writers. that put it
like
all
I'd
together.
almost feel it would be a better list if you just who are the top 75 players in today's game? Who are the top 75 players? Because the list makes absolutely no sense. Like, it really doesn't. And
Well, I think the first couple do.
I wonder how much bias went into some of those lists too. Of I've been a lifelong Jazz fan. I'm going to put Stockton up
Well,
here.
but I
at
think
2.
that happens every time
Oh,
on
yeah,
every
yeah.
on every list. That's why Derek Jeter didn't get a unanimous vote in the
So-
Hall of Fame because somebody didn't like him.
So they put Kobe. What do you say, 8th or 9th?
Kobe was number 9.
Number 9. In most people's list, or I guess in Lakers fans' list, Kobe is ahead of LeBron and ahead of Jordan, and he was the big thing. If you could take 1, 2, 3 of those 3 alone, who do you? Obviously, Jordan's number 1. Who's 2 and 3? For
Okay.
you?
What are we talking about now?
Just Kobe, LeBron, and Michael. 1, 2, 3.
Well, I would go Michael, LeBron, and Kobe.
I would think that'd be the way to go.
I mean, if you're asking me those 3, if I have to go in that order.
Right.
I have a real hard time, though, and I know it's because I was a fan of the team, but I have a hard time not justifying at least Magic Johnson being in the conversation. He's 5th here. I'm okay with that, but I certainly believe Magic Johnson, I'll probably upset some people by saying this, was every bit as good a ball player, if not better, than Kobe Bryant.
So let's put it this way. Michael Jordan is the dad of Kobe. Magic Johnson is the dad of LeBron. The only problem is LeBron, probably because of just
Yeah, he
workout
he
record,
surpassed his
surpassed
dad,
his dad,
and Kobe
never
didn't.
did.
Yeah, that's very, very well put. Very well put. I just think that there's more. The same way that Jordan did what he did by intimidation and by sheer will and by, let's face it, some pretty heavy-handed tactics to get his team to play at the level they did. Johnson was able to do that with a smile and sometimes a kick in the butt, but mainly it was just jump on, guys,
Yeah.
let's go, and let's go win, and we'll win it, and it'll be fun and all of that. It's hard to not get caught up in that as opposed to the other.
As
And so
much-
all I was going to say is I'm not sure I'm fair when it comes to these
Yeah.
because I have quite an affinity.
Well, I
for
was going to say, as
Magic
much as I
Johnson.
want to dislike Magic Johnson, you can't. Like,
Yeah.
his personality alone just makes you, okay, he's in the room. Hey, what's up? You know, it's hard to be.
And that weighs
Right.
on me.
Yeah,
It's hard.
it's hard.
Yeah, because then I start thinking, well, I really like him. I don't want to put him. And
Right.
I don't. I just know they didn't lose a whole lot when he was wearing purple and gold. And when they lost, it was to some guys in green and white and nobody else. And that wasn't Baylor.
Are you sure?
Well, it might be now.
You're listening to Excessive Celebration on Crossover Radio Sports. Reminding you, get that app today. come in to serve for that fresh cup.
And stay away from Lenny Dykstra. Yeah. Excessive celebration coming to a close here pretty soon. Another great run, Bill. What we have not done tonight is mentioned, you may have seen me drinking out of a ultra cool cup that's got Pistol Pete on it. But besides that, it's coffee that I had to make and bring from home. You won't have to do that if you come to where we are downstairs, serve down here in beautiful downtown Bethany, right across from Southern Nazarene University. Best coffee in town. Get the Cafe Americana, drink it, and then go build a house.
You'll be up for 18 days.
Yes, you will. It'll be the best 18 days of your life, though, and we'll be that much closer to college football. Bill, last week we had some fun with the all-time starting five of different NBA teams. We pretty much got towards the end of that list, And we did it, believe it or not, without throwing sharp things at each other, which, frankly, I think is a testament to.
Well, we're not done yet.
But it's a testament to our level of maturity that may have maxed out last week. Because I have a feeling it's going to get more fun here at the end. Now, I don't think we're going to argue too much with this one because, frankly, I don't care. The Charlotte Hornets all-time team, Bill.
Oh, man. Emeka Okafor.
Okay, we got it because you were killing it. Like I'd say you went close to 80% on these.
The Hornets are going to be tough.
Yeah.
It depends on how far they go back.
Well, it ought to help if I
Larry
tell
Johnson.
you. Very good.
Alonzo Mourning.
Yes.
Kendall Gill.
No.
Uh,
Think Michigan.
Ooh, I got one, but I know he's not on there. Adam Morrison.
I didn't say think Dort from
Is-
Gonzaga.
Is B.J. Armstrong on there?
No, but how about Michigan?
Robert Tractor Trailer?
How about a guy from Michigan?
Robert Trailer was from Michigan.
How about a better guy from Michigan?
I can't think of anybody from Charlotte.
How about Kimball Walker for one?
Oh, you should have said UConn.
Well, I know that Kimball Walker's from UConn. I'm not talking about him yet. I mention him because he's awesome and better than the guy in Brooklyn
I'm trying to
that
think.
used to be in Boston.
Oh, Kyrie.
Del Curry's another guard. I'm looking for a forward that played for the Hornets. Did I mention he was from Michigan?
I keep going. I don't know who played with the Hornets at that time from Michigan.
Glenn Rice.
Oh, yeah. He did play with the Larry. I watched some of those games recently, too, and I forgot.
Yeah, yeah.
Because then I watched him when he played for the Lakers, and I forgot he played for the
You
Lakers.
forgot that he played with his grandmother,
Yeah.
right? Grandmama.
Grandmama.
That's right. That was the. Where is that? You know, I also miss the dropping dimes,
Well,
dropping
you
dimes.
kind of got it with Kyrie and Uncle Drew.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. There was a little bit of that going on. Okay, how about Golden State? Now, keep in mind, there's one that's not there. There's one that's not fair because this Golden State team was the Philadelphia Warriors as
Okay,
well.
so give me that one.
Wilt Chamberlain.
Oh, okay.
So now you're looking for 2 guards and 2 forwards. I bet you can close this out pretty quick.
Maybe Draymond, KD, Clay, and Steph.
That's pretty good. 4 for 4. All right, let's move on. It's going to get tougher, I promise you.
No Richardson or who else was Baron Davis?
No,
Man, those would be some honorable mentions.
no, Mitch Richmond.
Ooh.
No, Tim Mullins.
Ooh, Tim Mullins.
No, Kurt Rambis when he went up there at the end.
Yeah.
That's still the greatest thing. You know, you had what? Mitch Richmond, Mullins, and who was the other one? The Run DMC they called it, or TMC. Tim.
Was it Hardaway?
Yeah, Tim Hardaway, Mitch Richmond. Yeah, Run TMC. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And do you remember Rambis when he was up there gave himself the nickname Run DNP for not playing anymore? That's as good as it gets. All right, let's do New Orleans Pelicans, Bill.
Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Is this counting the Hornets too?
Yeah, it's about that time. Yeah, so.
Chris Paul,
Yes.
Zion,
No.
Alonzo, Drew Holiday,
Yes. Drew Holiday.
and it's counting the Hornets.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, this could get very dicey.
Think Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City.
This guy played in OKC
No idea.
with Chris Paul.
No idea.
David West.
Really?
Yeah. And then Jamal Mashburn gets the other forward position.
That's a weak team.
All right. How about the Minnesota Timberwolves all-time 5?
Garnett. Wally Zerbiak. I'm going to get you on a team, Wally. Marbury.
He's not on this list.
Kevin Love.
This is the stupidest list. Yeah, Kevin Love's on there.
Who played in Minnesota? Anthony Towns. Do they have 3
Yes.
centers? They've got 3. Is Wiggins on there?
No.
Thank God.
I can't believe that Marbury's
Rubio?
not on here and Ricky Rubio is on here. And one other guard that also played in Houston.
Covington?
Sam Cassell.
Thought you were going to say Elliott.
That's a pretty weak team too, frankly.
That's not. I'm trying to. I mean, their team as a whole, it's always been like one guy, though. I mean, there's not been a ton of stars that have really played. I'm really surprised, honestly, that Wiggins isn't on that list.
Yeah. Okay.
Honestly.
This is a tough one. San Antonio. Because I don't know how much time we have. So
Duncan and Robinson.
Never heard of them.
Okay.
But yeah, they're both on the list.
Well, if Tony Parker is number 12 on the all-time list, he's got to be on
Maybe
there
like
as a point guard.
he was way back though. But yeah, Parker's on there.
Kawhi,
No.
Gervin,
Yes. Nice call.
and I don't know why.
Guard. Are you looking for another guard?
I was gonna say I don't know why he's not on this list, but Robert Horry, Elliott,
Nope.
Sean Elliott.
Nope.
Um,
We don't appreciate Arizona players here. Think of it. You have one foreign guard.
Mario Ellie. Oh, foreign guard.
I said you have one foreign guard in Tony Parker.
Ginobili.
Yeah.
But he can't start.
Yeah. Yeah. Neither could James Harden in Oklahoma City.
San Antonio's had some good ones. I mean, you could even say I wouldn't put him on there, but LaMarcus Aldridge.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Watch out for the point guard now. He could be on there eventually.
All right, Bill. The Utah Jazz. And keep in mind, this is also the New Orleans Jazz, and it only matters with one
Greg
player.
Ostertag.
With one player.
Stockton Malone. Hornacek?
No.
Really?
No.
Uh,
You need a center.
Gobert.
Yep. Or go
Do they
home.
have Mitchell on there?
No, but to be fair, the other guard besides Stockton was a New Orleans Jazz player by
Okay.
the name of Pete Maravich.
Okay.
So that leaves a forward. And frankly, this guy, I think, spent more of his career in Dallas than he did in Utah. Maybe I'm mistaken. From Notre Dame.
Finley?
Played at Notre Dame. Way back in the 70s.
No idea.
Adrian
Danley.
Uh-huh. We got time for two more or one more?
Two more.
All right. Sacramento Kings. This would also include the Kansas City Kings and the Cincinnati Royals.
The Kings. Mike Bibby. Chris Webber. Will.
Chris Webber.
Jay Will.
Nope.
Who else was on those Kings?
This is good. You've got one fairly new guy.
Buddy Yield.
Peja Stojakovic is the newest guy.
He was back with the Weber days.
Yeah, but this is now you've got to even. This is way back. Jerry Lucas is the center. Okay. Tiny Archibald guard, and Oscar Robertson.
Well, Buddy Yield should be on that list. He's like Steph Curry. Come on.
Buddy Love.
Come on.
All right. How about to finally wrap it up with the Portland Trail Blazers?
Well,
And I don't like this list because Marshallonis isn't on it, and neither one of those guys.
How is Sabonis not your best center?
Because there was a guy that until his knees
Well, I said
completely
Walton.
wore
Yeah,
out.
Walton.
Yeah, Walton's your center.
But even if what was it, the Timberwolves were running 3 power forwards and a center, surely Sabonis could be on there.
Yeah, I mean the dude was nasty.
Clyde Drexler,
Yes,
Damian Lillard.
yes.
Is Terry Porter your other guard?
No, but that's a pretty darn good pick. Think it's 3 guards, a forward, and a center.
Cliff Robinson.
Nope,
Duckworth.
nope.
3 guards, forwards.
The forward you mentioned earlier with another team. I think San Antonio, maybe.
Ori?
Didn't you mention LaMarcus Aldridge?
Oh, yeah. Really? Wow.
So that leaves one guard. As we wrap this up, pressure.
And it's not Terry Porter.
No.
Who would be better? It's not McCollum, is it?
No, it's not McCollum, although I know that you're ready to see that Beatles band get broken up.
Who would be their other guard?
Brandon Roy.
There's a lot of people high on Brandon Roy, and I appreciate what he brought to the league, but I just
Is he your old-time Kimball Walker?
don't think he's better than. I can't say he's better than Porter was, or I can't say he's better than McCollum.
I think Porter's a really good pull from that isn't there. I loved his headband.
I'm trying to think about who played when, because you had Duckworth, you had Cliff Robinson, you had Drexler, Porter. I mean, I think they had Shrimp at one point, but that may have been with the Pippen years.
Maybe so. Can you imagine being a little baby? I don't care if you're from Germany or Tulsa, and somebody goes, "Look at little Detlef."
All-time name team.
Does he make our list? Is he up there with JB Favorite?
Him and Bootsy.
Oh man, that list is so awesome.
You're listening to Excessive Celebration on Crossover Sports Radio. Thanks everybody for joining us today. We love you guys. Reminding you, catch us on Facebook, YouTube, and iTunes. Excessive Celebration, not hard to find. Just look for All the Pretty.
Keep smiling.